Okay, so can you please tell me about yourself and also about what you have worked on and your day-to-day activities?
Yeah, my name is Hussain, and I am currently working as a Java backend developer at Accenture. And I have around 4 years of experience in developing enterprise applications using the Java, Spring Boot, microservices, and RESTful APIs. And over the year, I have had opportunity to work across various domains, and presently I am engaged in the telecom domain project. So there we are building the developer productivity tool. So that is basically powered by the Gen AI, and these tools are designed to assist developers by automating repetitive tasks and generating code snippets and improving development speed and accuracy. So my day-to-day responsibilities basically that involves like designing and developing RESTful APIs and writing scalable and maintainable microservices, and also I work on the fixing bugs in existing modules and optimizing performance. And apart from that, I also collaborate with the front-end developers and DevOps and QA teams as well, uh, to basically ensure the smooth delivery of the product. And I also involved in integrating third-party APIs and working on application level configuration. And in order day we also use the Git and Jenkins. So Git we use once we are done with the day-to-day code, then we on a daily basis we are pushing the code. And in addition to backend development, I have had hands-on experience with SQL, Hibernate JPA, Maven, and basic working knowledge of the message brokers like Kafka and all. So yeah, so this is what is about me and my day-to-day activities.
Okay, so are you using Java 8 or any other higher version?
No, currently we are working Java 8 only in our project.
And what about Spring Boot version?
Yeah, we are using Spring Boot 2.7 in our current setup.
Okay. What database you are using?
Yeah, we are using Oracle, and I have also worked on MySQL before.
So what is the difference between Oracle and MySQL?
Yeah, basically, Oracle is kind of more secure and mostly used in finance related applications where transactional security is more critical. And MySQL is basically open source and it is widely used in general purpose applications. So Oracle has like we can say more advanced features, especially for higher availability and performance tuning. And whereas MySQL is lighter and easier for setups and not needing any like enterprise tools and all. But and Oracle also has a stronger engine for the handling large scale transactional data. This is the difference between these two basically.
Okay, do you have any experience with procedures, unions, joins?
Yeah, I have worked with joins, and also in procedures also not that much, but yeah, I have worked with that. And unions I know like the when we should use it, but I mean mostly in till now in our project we have not used it.
Okay. Okay, so let's say suppose we have to join 10 tables. So whenever we are going to do that, so that is going to take lots of time to execute the query, right? So how can you improve the performance in this case? What approach you will follow?
So basically it depends on the scenario, but let's say one way is like we can use proper indexing, so we can ensure that foreign keys and columns used in the joins are indexed, and we can create the composite index if joins or filters involve multiple columns. And also the another way is like we can break the query into smaller parts. So instead of doing the massive query altogether, so we can break the into the logical subqueries or temporary tables. Okay, and also we can do we can use joins selectively. So we can only take whatever is needed. So and apart from that, caching also we can use, and we can also perform the batch job on daily basis. So suppose we our requirement is not to get the real time data, okay, and it's not real time, and we are okay with to get the last 1 hour data or something. Okay, so we can run the batch job. So that might be running on every 1 hour or maybe 6 hour or 12 hour or one day, depends on the scenario. So that batch job might be inserting the data to some different table, and that batch job is basically I mean the work of that batch job will be that use that those join queries and insert the data to some different table or views wherever it is, and further next time whenever we have the requirement to fetch that, we can just simply get the data from that table. So that is also another way. So yeah, so these are the things which we can follow. We can also do the table partitioning to divide the large tables into some different parts. Yeah, so these are the right now ways I'm able to recall.
Okay, so what is the objective of writing a view procedure or function?
Yeah, the objective of writing these is to improve the reusability and performance. So instead of writing the same logic repeatedly, we kind of encapsulate it inside a function or procedure. So that is one thing, and then views help to simplify the complex join or queries. So especially when multiple tables are involved. So in that case, we can go for the views also. So yeah,
Okay, do you know agile methodology?
yeah, I know that, and right now in our project we are following that. So basically, Agile allows us to get continuous feedback and improvement in the middle of the development. So we don't need to wait till the end. So continuously, whatever we are developing, that we will be sharing with the maybe client or whoever is monitoring that, and we can get the feedback, and again we can do the further improvement in that. So basically that enhancements can be done while the module is still under development. It basically it supports the flexibility and faster adaptation to change. Yeah, so that's what is the agile methodology.
Okay, so in core Java, how many types of stream objects?
We have basically two types. One is the sequential, and one is the parallel stream.
Okay, so do you know the terminal and non-terminal operations?
Yeah, in Java 8 we have terminal operations like find first, max, count, collect, and all. So that gives the basically the final result. So these are the terminal operations, and they give the final result. And we also have the non-terminal or intermediate operations like that we basically apply just after the stream. So like map, filter, sorted. So all those are there. So they are basically used for transforming the stream data. So we apply transformation using intermediate methods, and then we use a terminal method to get the actual result.
Okay, what are the functional interfaces in Java 8?
Yeah, functional interfaces are many. So we have runnable, comparator, function, predicate. All of them are like functional interfaces. So basically, these functional interfaces have exactly one abstract method, and so Java it has been introduced in Java 8. You can also give added a functional interface annotation on top of the class to make sure that it is the functional interface. If we go anything beyond that rule, so it will just show the compilation error. So yeah, that's what is the functional interface.
So, what is the difference between map and flat map in streams?
Yeah, map is used to transform each element of a stream, and a flat map is used when each element produces a stream and we want to kind of flatten it into single stream. So basically, let's say we have a kind of nested structure. So like inside the list we have another list, so we want to fetch all of the inner list data and so directly on the top. So in that case we can use the flat map, but map we can simply use whenever the we have the direct data, so we can use the map.
Okay, what is optional plus in Java 8 and why it is used?
Yeah, optional is a container object that may or may not contain a non-null value. So it helps to avoid null pointer exception basically, and handles the value that may be absent in a more declarative way. So we can just say optional, then off nullable, or and we can whatever the any method if suppose or a call is happening, so it can just get that object into it. Yeah, so that's what is optional.
Okay, let's say you have to convert a list of a string to uppercase using streams. So, how would you do that?
List of strings to uppercase.
Yes.
Okay, so we can just say any like suppose any array list is there and it has the list of a string, so we can just say list dot stream and then map. Okay, because we are trying to transform the data, and then we can just say like string to uppercase. We may use the method referencing, string method referencing, and then to uppercase. So it will basically transform the string to uppercase, and then we can just simply say that collect and then collectors dot to list. So yes, like this way we can do it.
And how do you filter even numbers from the list? So, suppose a list has various numbers. So, how would you filter the even numbers?
Yeah, for that instead of map we can use filter basically here, because we want to filter out the numbers. So we can use the lambda expression like input, let's say n, and then that arrow mark, and then n percent 2, so equal to 0, so it will check if the number is even or not, and then again we can just say dot collect collectors dot to list. So yeah, so this way we can do the even number check.
Okay, when do you use a linked list and when array list you use?
Yeah, if we need a lot of insertions and deletions in the middle of the list, then a linked list is more efficient than array list, and array list is better for the random access, but linked list is good when frequent add remove operations are needed. So yeah, so that's the difference between these two.
Okay, so why do we use concurrent hash map instead of hash map in multi-threading?
Yeah, because if we use hash map in a multi-threaded environment and try to modify the map while iterating, so in that case it will throw a concurrent modification exception. Okay, so concurrent hash map handles such cases by segmenting the map internally and allowing the concurrent read write operations safely without throwing any exception. So yeah, so that's why we use.
Okay, what are the Java class loaders?
Yeah, I remember we have a bootstrap class loader. So that basically loads the core Java classes. Then we have a extension class loader. So that loads the ext package, and then we have the system class loader. So that loads the class from the class path.
How does Java handles exceptions?
Yeah, that Java handles exception using try catch, and also if we don't want to use that, we can use throws, and custom exceptions we can use. So like we can have the any custom exception, so that basically extends the runtime exception, and in that custom exception method we can just write our own message whatever we want, so that way it can be handled.
Okay, so you said you can use either try catch or throws to handle exception, right? Now, can you please tell me when we should go for the try catch and when we should handle it with throws?
Yes, so try catch we can go whenever we want to handle the exception immediately, and we know like maybe what to do. Like suppose if an exception occurs, maybe at the logging, or maybe any fallback logic is failing. So we know exactly like what exact exception might occur. So in that case, we can go with the try catch, and we don't want the exception to propagate to the caller. So in that case, also we can use like try catch, and also whenever we are at the layer where exception handling is appropriate, so like in the service or controller layer in the web application we can do that. So that's what like when we can use try catch. So and throws we can use whenever we do not want to handle the exception at the current level, and we are waiting sorry, we are writing a lower level or utility method, and handling it does not make sense there. If so, in that case we can use throws. And also if you want to delegate the responsibility to the caller, so in that case we can use the throws keyword.
Okay, what are the ways we can ensure the thread safety in Java?
Thread safety, we can use synchronized blocks, and we can also use thread safe collections like concurrent hash map and all, and we can use like atomic classes. So yeah, so these are the ways we can do that.
So, can you tell me how to detect and fix memory leaks in Java?
Yeah, if suppose any kind of memory leak is happening in Java, in that case we can use there are various profiling tools like JVisual VM or Eclipse Mat is there. So we can use either of these tools, and we can the whole object we can import and see like which object is creating the issue, and we can look for the unclosed resources or large static references. So those things we can check, and we can also use we have the feature of try with resources, right? So those things also we can use to close the streams, or any kind of auto closing is there. So those things also we should look at. They might be the potential root cause for the memory leaks. So yeah, so that is how we can identify and fix it.
Okay, so can you tell me what are the main differences between Spring Boot and Spring MVC?
Yeah, so in Spring MVC we write a lot of boilerplate code, and need to configure everything like the view resolver, XML or Java configuration and data sources. So all that we need to configure by ourselves. But in the Spring Boot, it reduces the all these configurations by doing it beforehand, and it provides auto configuration and starter dependencies, and embedded like server like Tomcat. If you want, we can change that also, so we don't have to do the manual setups. So Spring MVC is part of Spring Boot, but Spring Boot simplifies and enhances it, like or like removes the boilerplate codes and all. So that's what is the major difference between. Yeah.
So, what is the difference between REST controller and request mapping?
Yeah, REST controller is a specialized version of controller. So that controller annotation is there in the Spring, and it combines add controller and response body. So that makes it ideal for RESTful web services by running responses directly to JSON or XML format. And the request mapping basically is used to map HTTP request to handler methods in the controller. So it can map based on HTTP method, path, parameter, or headers and all. So that's what is the use of these two. Yeah.
Okay, so how can you customize the default server port in Spring Boot?
Yeah, we can change the server.port property in application.properties or YAML file. So we can just say server.port and whatever the port number is there. So suppose it is 8080 initially, so we can just give 8081 or whatever we want. So we can do that. Yeah.
So can you explain the Spring Boot auto configuration mechanism?
Yeah, Spring Boot uses enable auto configuration annotation internally via Spring Boot application. So Spring Boot application is what we see, but internally this enable auto configuration is used to automatically configure beans based on the class path dependencies, and it inspects the class paths and environment variables and configures beans accordingly, and it basically reduces the boilerplate code by doing that. So this is supported by Spring.factories, which basically contains the mapping to the auto configure classes. So yeah, so that's what is the Spring Boot's auto configuration mechanism.
So do you know how can you structure a Spring Boot REST API to retrieve the user data from a database?
Yeah, so basically we have the mostly three layers in our Spring Boot application. So we will have the controller layer, then service layer, then repository layer or DO layer. So in the controller layer is initially whatever the request comes, so that requests are handled at controller layer. So that handles the HTTP request basically, and then at the service layer it contains the business logic. So from again from controller to service we make the call internally in the Java code, and then again this service layer further calls to repository layer. Okay, so that repository layer basically interacts with the databases using JPA. So that will be getting the data, and again we will be having the DTOs and entities also. So using those uh, we transform the data, and we further get that object, and we get it back and send to the user. So yeah, so that's how we can do that.
So what is internationalization with Spring Boot?
Yeah, internationalization Spring Boot basically allows an application to serve local specific content. So it involves like defining message bundles, we have message underscore en properties, or maybe for French language if we are trying to do, then message underscore fr dot properties. So those things we can do and configure a local resolver to detect the user's preferred language from the request. So whatever the preferred language will be there, so that response will be sent.
Okay, can you tell me how do you handle different involvements? Like we have various involvements, right? Like dev, test, production, and all, right? So how can you handle that?
How to handle means I think we can use profiles. So we can create like a kind of application dev.properties, test.properties, or production.properties, and there we can set the active profile spring profiles.active. So if we give dev, then whatever the properties dev are with, so those properties will be used for it. And similarly for other environments, we can just change here the dev to test production, so those properties will be used.
Well, can you tell me what is dependency injection and its types in Spring?
Yeah, dependency injection is a design pattern where the framework provides the required dependencies rather than the class instantiating them. So we have basically three types of dependency injection, like constructor injection, setter injection, and then field injection.
What are the types of scopes in Spring?
Yeah, we have a singleton prototype request, then we have session, application, global session. So these are the types of scopes we have.
Okay. And what will be the default?
Yeah, the default will be the singleton.
How would you create a custom bean scope in Spring?
Yeah, to implement the scope interface, like we can define the custom logic for creating and destroying beans. So, and we can register the scope using the configurable bean factory. So, yeah, so that is how we can do that.
And what is the difference between bean factory and application context?
Yeah, bean factory is a basic container providing only bean instantiation, and application context like is a more advanced container that supports the internationalization, event propagation, and AOP. So mostly we use application context only because it provides various other um, like additional features. Yeah.
So, what are repositories in Spring Data JPA?
Yeah, repository are like interfaces that extend JPA repository, CRUD repository, or like paging and sorting repository. Okay, so that allows interaction with the databases without writing the any boilerplate code. So basically, we use add rate of repository. So in that interface, so that is how we can use repositories and we can fetch the data in that.
Can you tell me how do you perform pagination and sorting?
Yeah, pagination we can use pageable and sort interfaces. So like whenever suppose let's say we have any uh, repository and from there we want to find something, so we can just say like user repository dot find all, and then we can again have the like suppose we want to fetch the first 10 pages only. So so we can just say page request dot off, and then the starting of the page like 0 comma 10 we can just say. So next 10 elements it will fetch, and 0 means like maybe the first page. Okay, and then we can also give the sort by parameter in that, so it will sort based on that. So yeah, that is how we can do the pagination and sorting.
Okay, suppose if you have to write the custom queries in Spring Data JPA. So, how do you write that?
Yeah, we can use at query basically. So at query annotation is used with JPQL or native SQL we can write. So like in at query we can just mention our the query, and that at query will be basically on the top of the method. So that method basically, let's say we have the find by maybe a status, okay, and we want to fetch it based on the native query. So on this on top of this method we can just say add query, and then select whatever, select a star from users where status equal to something. So we can just do like that. So that is how we can use custom queries.
Okay, so you also use Git, right?
Yeah, I do use Git.
So, how do you clone a Git repository?
Yeah, for cloning we can just use Git clone, and we can give the URL after that.
So, how many ways you can clone it?
Yeah, we can clone it either using URL, or we also have the SSH. so that also we can use. So in that case we have to basically download the key, we basically generate the key to our system, and that public key also is generated. So that public key we need to set into the GitHub, and whenever we are going to try to download or any kind of connection with the Git repository, in that case that public key which is has been generated in our system, so that is used by the GitHub. So that is what is the another way.
So what is git pull?
Yeah, git pull basically it fetches the changes from the remote repository and merges them into the local branch.
So do you know how can you fix the past commit?
Yeah, we can use rebase. So we can just say git rebase minus I, and we can edit the commit, save, and force push if needed.
Okay, can you tell me the difference between git fetch and git pull?
Yeah, git fetch basically downloads the changes from the remote, but it does not merge them into our current branch. But git pull does like kind of we can say git fetch plus merge. So that's what is the difference.
Okay, do you know what is git stash and when would you use it?
Git stash is basically temporarily like stash the changes we have made. So kind of saves the changes. So we can suppose we if we have to switch the branches and we have some work already done in our local, and we want to just save the whatever the work we have done till now. Because Git does not allow us to switch the branches without cleaning up our like local repository. Okay, so in that case we need to stash that whatever work we have done, and then further we can switch the branches. So yeah, so that is why we use the Git stash.
So what is git cherry pick?
Yeah, Git cherry pick basically it lets us apply a specific commit from one branch into another without merging the entire branch basically. We can just say git cherry pick, and then we can just the hash of that commit we can just pass. So it will like apply this that commit from one branch to another. So so we don't have to basically merge the entire branch.
And do you know what is the git ignore?
Yeah. So git ignore basically it tells git like which files or directories need to be ignored. So let's say for example if we have Eclipse, suppose sometimes we use, so Eclipse will be having the many files it will generate behind the scenes. So maybe the target folder dot class path, so all that files which it generates, so that basically we don't want to track in, and we don't want to push that to GitHub. So we just want Git to not to track any changes in them, and for that purpose we use a git ignore. So git ignore basically is a file, so in that file we can just list out all those um, list of rules which we want Git to follow and which those files should not be tracked. So we can just mention there, and it will not track it. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me what are the benefits of using microservices?
Yeah, the main benefit of using it is like independent deployment. So that basically really helpful in fast-paced environments. So since each service is self-contained and we can scale them individually based on demand. So for example, our billing service like needed more compute during the monthly cycles. So we can scale just that. And also other advantages like it like isolation. So if one service fails, then other continues to run, so it won't break the whole entire system. And the flexibility of choosing the right tool for the job. So we can use the different languages for different microservices. It is not completely stick to the one specific language. Also, like each microservices can be like distributed to the different developers, and they can own it, and they can work completely on that, and it basically makes its development also kind of fast. And yeah, so that's what are the advantages.
So, what is service discovery and how you have implemented it?
Yeah, so service discovery basically helps microservices locate each other without hard coding host names or IPs. So if one of for example, in one of my projects, so we used Netflix Eureka for client side discovery, and each service registers itself on a startup, and Eureka keeps track of available instances. So we also use Spring Cloud integration with Eureka to automatically wire up services using just their logical names. So this was especially helpful in dynamic environments like Kubernetes, where services scale up or down very frequently. So yeah, so these are the basically two discovery services I have used till now.
Okay, so can you tell me what is a circuit breaker pattern and where you have used it?
Yeah, circuit breaker pattern basically is designed to prevent cascading failures when a downstream service is down, or any it is unresponsive and not working. So for example, in one of our project, the user service like depends on the third party for INT provider, and that basically sometimes gets time out. So we have used Resilience 4J to implement the circuit breaker. So that would open the circuit after few failures and automatically retry after a cooldown period. Okay, so this basically prevented our app from being like not working or down, and it basically helped us to return fallback response while a downstream service was recovered. So till then we can basically in the fallback service we can write whatever we want, whatever the response we want to give to user in case of the actual method is not working or actual service is not working. So yeah, so that's the use of this. Yeah.
So, how do you monitor and log microservices?
Yeah, monitoring and logging are like kind of can be done using the ELK stack. So that is basically Logstash, Elasticsearch, and Kibana. So let's search and so these basically lets the things to be searched and visualize logs very easily. So each service log trace ID. So that helps request across the services. So for that we can use this ELK stack. And then for metrics we use Prometheus with Grafana. So we track custom metrics like transaction volume, latency, and error rates. So that basically alerts the system setup for anomalies like high memory uses or failed logging attempts. So that can be prevented using that. So that's how we are monitoring it.
How do you secure microservices? What are you using to secure it?
For securing the microservices, we are using JWT, and also so basically at the API gateway we validate tokens. So typically JWT issued by our auth server using auth2. So internally each service validates the user's role from the token before processing the request. So between services, we use HTTP to secure communication, and in some cases, like mutual TLS for stronger authentication, we are using. So we also strict access at the network level using the firewall rules or service mesh policies. So basically, we are using these are the ways like we can secure the microservices.